Hello everyone, and welcome to part 4 of this video diary series on rigging a 3D character in Blender. In this case, the 3D character is Judy from the hit Disney animated film Zootopia, the now award-winning Disney animated film Zootopia. I won the award for Best Animated Film, I believe, Best Animated Feature from the New York Critics Circle. Well deserved, in my opinion. Zootopia, as I've stated before in this series, one of the best animated films of the year, if not the best. I can't say that for sure because I haven't seen Moana yet, but I can definitely say out of all the films I've seen so far this year, it is still at the top of my charts, but in all fairness, it hasn't had much competition this year. There's just been a lot of garbage. But anyway, that's not what this video series is about. This video series is about rigging, and rigging we shall do. So when last I left you, I showed you how to make IK and FK change to control your mechanism bones, and how to set up these sliders or switches to basically give you a variation of control between the different chains. So right now the green chains, those are our mechanism bones, and the the chains up top here are our FK, and the chains with the yellow bones are our IK chains. You can see as we move those around, the influence right now, I've got it set to like 0.5 for the arms, so the influence is being divided evenly between the two. We select one of these bones and go to the constraints. We can see with the influences is perfectly even between the two, and if I go ahead and do that, I can set the influence to maximum between each one. Anyway, and I showed you how to do this for the arms, and in between videos, I just went ahead and did the same thing for the legs. So now the legs are 100% being completely controlled by both the FK and the IK bones, which is all really cool. Anyway, let's go ahead and set these to 1, or we can just set them to 0. The important thing is that they're working. And set that to 0. Okay. So in today's video, as the footnail suggested, we are going to be making a foot roll system for our IK bones. This is going to allow us to animate easier, or more easily animate, I should say, the ball and the heel of the foot when we're in IK mode. When we're in FK mode, we can just do this individually by selecting the individual, controls that we'll have set up, and just rotating and bending those. But in IK, it's a little different, and this system, the foot roll system, I'm going to show you how to make, will definitely make our lives a hell of a lot easier. So before we dive into that, I do want to show you one thing that I did. So with the arms, I didn't bother making separate IK bones for the hand bone in the mechanism chain, mostly because it's not necessary. But I did make IK bones for the foot and the toe, and the reason for that is because these are going to play a vital role in our foot roll system. And right now, the foot right here bone has a copy transforms constraint on it, and it's being controlled by the target bone of the IK chain. So if we go ahead and pull this out, we can see that that foot bone is following in the direction of our IK target. Simple enough to understand. So So as I said, today we're going to be making a foot roll system, and I already went ahead and just wrote out some directions, basically some notes. Figured, even though I said this series it was pretty much just going to be me off the cuff, I wasn't going to go into any real planning or anything like that. I thought, the foot roll system is a little more complicated than most of the things I'm going to be tackling in this video series, so I thought it best just to, have this out, not only for my benefit, but for your benefit as well. So we'll go through each of these things step by step, and hopefully it will all make sense in the end. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. And I'm just gonna be working on the IK bones right now, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna go ahead and hide these because well, one, we're not gonna need them, and two, they'll just get in the way. Okay, so here we go. So the first thing we're going to want to do when creating this foot roll system, first let me bring up my, let me go ahead and just organize my workspace here just a little bit more, give myself a little more space. Yeah, that'll be fine. That'll be good. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to want to extrude bones from both the ankle joint and the joint where the foot and the toe meet. So go ahead and select both those joints and hit E to extrude and extrude them in the negative Y direction. So about like that. Oh, that's cool. All right. And let's go ahead and rename these. This bone right here, and look at that, it made the bones anyway. Anyway, go ahead and just delete those, because what? Huh. Okay. Whatever. I guess this is just our life right now. All right. It's all good. Let's go ahead and rename these. So this is going to be this first bone is going to be our foot roll driver. So that is going to be IK underscore foot roll underscore DVR for driver underscore 01 dot L. And then this next one is going to be the ball of our foot. So just call that IK ball underscore 01 dot L. Alright, perfect. Righty. And now we need to create a bone and place it roughly where the heel of the foot meets the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and hitting 1 on my keyboard, not on my numpad, but on my keyboard. That's going to bring up the model. And we can see the heel of the foot is like roughly around here. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this bone, duplicate it, move it right about here. And that was the wrong bone, but it's fine. Right about here. Really zoom in and position it as best you can. Alright, and go ahead and switch the direction. So there we go. You can pull this in just a bit too. These don't have to be that big. So you're good. And we can just go ahead and delete those since they're not going to matter too much right now, because we're just going to duplicate them over anyway. Okay, then parent your IK target to the ball of the foot. So your target right here is going to be parented to this. So go ahead and parent it. Be sure to keep the offset. And before I go any further, let's be sure to name this heel. Very good. IK heel underscore 01.l. Alright. And parent the ball to the heel. And keep the offset. Then parent the heel to a separate bone that will ultimately act as your control for the entire IK leg. So we'll just go ahead and take this, duplicate it, and we'll go ahead and grab this joint and just increase the size of it to about the size of the foot. And we will call this IK leg CTRL for control underscore 01. Very good. Very, very good. Okay, we are well on our way. Now, what we want to do, well, we want to parent the ball to that. So go ahead and parent it. Keep offset. We are okay. So we are in business. And now what's next? Oh, we also want to make sure this is parented to that. Keep offset. There we go. Set up a copy. Okay, so now we're going to get into the copy rotation constraints. So go ahead and go into pose mode. Let's get rid of the model. And I just hit 2 on my keyboard because that's where my layer is. And am I missing some bones? Oh no, did I delete my foot bone? Oh no! Oh no, I did. Holy, okay. No biggie, no biggie, just it's an easy fix. Let's just go ahead and bring those back. Alright. Make sure the roll is set to the active bone. Go ahead and parent this to that bone, and go ahead and parent the toe bone to the foot bone. Oops. Make sure it's connected, and then go ahead and go back into pose mode, select your IK, and then select the, and then just do copy transforms. Alright. What is going on here? I'm sorry, I gotta pause the recording and find out what the heck is going on. Okay, we're back. Wow. I don't know. Well, that's not true. I do know what happened. It's because I had this X mirror option still turned on, which just was throwing everything out of whack. You really should turn this off when you're not, you know, positioning positioning bones on one side of your rig, and therefore want the bones on the other side of the rig to mirror those same positions. If you're not doing that you should really just keep this off. But yeah, anyway, everything's back in ship shape. Everything's ship shape again. So hopefully we can continue on now without running into any real issues and so forth. So now let's go ahead and add in the constraints that are going to control our foot roll. So everything is parented now. As you can see, everything's working for the most part just great. So let's go ahead and bring back our directions right now. And I can't remember where exactly I was, but let's see. Okay, here we go. Set up a copy rotation constraint on the ball of the foot. It will copy the rotation of the foot roll driver. So we can just select this driver and select this, and let's make sure their axes are lining up, and they are. And then go ahead and hit Control-Shift-C and add in a copy rotation constraint. So now when we rotate this, the ball of the foot will rotate with it, and you can already see how that's taking effect. Now, we only need the X to rotate. We don't need anything else to rotate. So this is fine right here. And while we're at it, with this bone selected, just go ahead and lock these up. So now it only rotates on the X. There we go. And as my old animation teacher would tell me, save early, save often. Especially when things are working for you, because if they're not, then you're just gonna, if you don't save and your Blender crashes, which Blender has been known to do, although to be fair to Blender, it doesn't crash as often as other programs I've used. Some programs that cost thousands and thousands of dollars I've had way more issues with than I ever have had with Blender. Anyway, weird tangent. So what's the next thing it says to do? We'll copy, okay. Next, set up a limit rotations constraint, so we want to do that. Set up, because we only want this to rotate a certain way, and set the min, we're only to 0, and the max to 60. Okay. So you can see it stops right there, and it just makes sense to set up a limit rotation constraint on here as well, and set that to 60. So now they both stop where they're supposed to. There we go. Okay. Oh, alright, what's next on the list? Make sure your foot roll driver is parented as well. Set up a copy rotation. Okay, blah blah blah. Okay, next, set up a copy rotation constraint on the IK toe bone and make sure it's set to local space. So copy rotation, set it to local space on both of these. And we don't need this or this. And what does it say? What does it say? Copy on the IK. Create a separate call it override. Parent it to the IK field. Create a new copy rotation. Okay, I missed something in here. So this is going to be copying our foot roll, our ball. This is going to be copying the ball of the foot. So go ahead and just type in ball.l, and let me show you what this is doing. See that? I'm not exactly sure how this is working. This is a method I learned from VScorpion C, and just watching her videos on rigging. But I feel like this should, I don't know. I feel like I don't know how this is working this way. What? My battery in my mouse is dying, so it just acted wonky. but local space, because if it rotated this way, it'd be rotating in the negative, but it can't rotate, or if it was rotating this way, it'd be rotating. I don't understand it. I don't understand how this is working the way it is, but in fact, I think if we turn this off, or rather we turn this off. No? Whatever. The important thing is it works, and that's all you need to know. But if anyone understands why it works, please let me know in the comments below, because I'm curious as to how this is working the way it is. I'm sure I could figure it out if I studied it a little more, but just don't have time to do that right now. Anyway, what's next on the list? Create a separate bone over the toe and call it override. Okay, so we're just going to select this bone, go into edit mode, create it, duplicate it, and it's already parented to the foot, so we don't need to worry about that. And let's go ahead and rename it IK toe underscore over OVRD for override. And so with that selected, let's go ahead and select the toe and create a copy rotations constraint. Be sure to use the shortcut and move that to the top of the stack, and then set this to offset. Make sure this is set to local space. Sorry, this isn't set to offset. This needs to be set to offset. And then maybe this doesn't need to be local space anymore. Okay. So basically what that bone is going to do is, even if we're okay. So this does need this, and we are going to copy the ball of the foot, local space, and we're going to set that to offset, and is it offset as well? Wow, this video is just a mess. Alright, I'm going to stop the recording again and figure out how I did this the first time. Okay, I figured it out. Yeah, this comes with the territory, guys, when you do a tutorial series that you don't really put a lot of planning into. But anyway, so here's how this is working. So if we select the the toe of the foot, we can see it's got all these constraints on it. It's got the override constraint, the toe override, which is coming from the toe override bone that we just made. That override bone is parented to our main foot control right here, and that constraint is set to local space. This one, which is where it's copying the rotations of the ball of the foot, the IK ball, the toe, that is set to world space, though we could set that to local space as well. In fact, I think it makes more sense just to have it set to local space. And this needs to have a minimum applied of -90 or so. There we go. All right, and then at the bottom here we have a limit rotation on our toe, and the minimum is set to -90 and the max is set to 60. Now I'm not sure if this is even really necessary, if we really even need that, because if I go ahead and I use it and I select my override bone, pretty much can use it, you know, freely without any problems. But oh, and that's also set to local space. If you set it to world space, I don't know. I don't really think too much happens if you set it to world space. Yeah, I think it's fine. The differences between world space and local space are difficult for me to explain. But basically, if you have something set to world space, then an unconnected bone will always follow the exact, you know, position, rotation, and scale, depending on what kind of constraint you're using. At that point in the world at all times. If you set it to local space, if you've got, let's say, a bone here and a bone here, whatever this bone is doing over here, this bone will copy, but in its position. If this was set to world space, it would just jump to the bone over here and start moving all around. And that's for unconnected bones. If you've got a bone that's connected to other bones, then it's stuck no matter what. So it doesn't matter if you've got a constraint set to world space or not, because that bone's just not going to move. It's still going to, you know, copy the movements of the other bone that's controlling it, but in its as much as it's allowed, because it's connected by other bones. I hope that's making sense. But anyway, but we can just set these to local space, because it really does make more sense to have them set to local space since these bones are in different positions. Yeah, this can be set to local space. Even though, so there we go. Okay. And remember, this has offset selected, and basically what that means is you can make edits to it even though there's a constraint on it. And that's how the override system here is able to edit it. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is add a copy rotation constraint to the heel. So copy rotation, and you can see what it did there. The heel rotated around and is copying the exact rotation at this point in space as the other one. So the way to fix that, of course, is to set this to local space. So now it's in local space. So now we want this to follow the rotation. And the way to do that is if we invert it. And there we go. And what is going on here? Does that need to be local space as well? Yep, that needs to be local space. So yeah, so local space really is the way to go here. And we need to make sure, and we also, you can see we need a limit rotation constraint on here as well. So go ahead and set that to, and set this to like a max of 90. And there we go. Everything is working now as it should. This could probably be negative, I don't know, 60 or something. Yeah, that's probably too much. But and just go ahead and set this to local space as well. So obviously there's a lot of experimentation that you'll need to do, but certain bones will work better, certain constraints will work better with local space, and others will work better with world space. And it really just depends on, you know, the bone chain or the bone and what you want it to do. So this is a case where we have, you know, all these bones that are not quite, you know, in line with each other, or really even like facing the same direction. So it behooves us to just have all their constraints set to local space, because it works better in the long run. But look at that, we've got a nice foot roll system that is working perfectly, like 100%. We've got a override for that bone. And you know what? I want to go ahead and parent this to the IK target and see how that does. Yeah, that's better. That's where I want it. Okay. All right. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Sorry for all the pausing and having to go back and recheck what I had done on previous rigs. This was this is as much a learning experience for me as it is for you. Not only a learning experience in terms of rigging, but just in terms of creating like an educational tutorial series, if you will, and you know what to do and what not to do when basically you know, just creating educational videos. You know, but with that said, I'm going to end it right there, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do in the next video. I think we'll just do some general cleanup, and maybe you know, just add more deformation bones in the places they're going to need them. Maybe we'll add the deformation bones for our legs and our arms. And yeah, but that's going to do it for right now. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Till then.